First of all, Amit, thank you so much for having me. It's very difficult to get onto the stage nowadays because I get a couple of people into prison and no one wants me on the stage talking the truth. I'm a doctor, so please don't trust me because I'm always practicing. Whatever I'm going to be telling you is of my own experience, and I have helped people sell their products, sell their brands, sell their lives, make their lives, sometimes break their lives even. Some people are very intent on doing that, and the only reason why I'm here to share the power of word. I think the spoken word is very easy, and that's the reason why at 9 p.m. we got to wear our earplugs and watch televisions and debates. The written word is not so easy, ladies and gentlemen. To me, words are about adding value to others and to making impact in the consumer's mind. I'm a brain scientist, and everything I talk will be related to the right brain functional dynamics. Whenever I tell people I'm a doctor, the next question I get is, what kind of a doctor are you? I'm just a kind doctor. Yeah, I encourage a lot of laughter because when you stretch your lip, the right brain opens out spontaneously. But what do we do most often when we see each other? It's a lot of your hierarchy in place. It's the fact that you have stranger anxiety, as we call it in behavior, and the fact that no one smiles. You smile first. And I encourage all of us to smile a little because in the next 25 minutes, I'll try my best to give you what maybe will add some value to what all of you are doing today. I have a few friends in the audience, and I'm so glad that I could meet all of you. I love the way the MC referred to Anubhuti as Anubhuti. Right? So it's nice to be called Booty. And for those of you who intend to off the light, when I'm showing my PowerPoint, please don't do that. I've used very expensive makeup. So it's important to be visually seen, visually experienced, and emotionally accepted. Now some of you will be looking at me and wondering, who the hell is this bee? I have permission of Amit. I speak my mind. So I am an ex-4G, so I cannot go and tell my soldiers, come guys, let's go to war. There's a lot of power which needs to be in your word, and power is my middle name, so pardon me if I come across too straight and too blunt. I don't see any other way in which you can say things. You can't look at a person who's balding and then just tell him, hello, you're follicularly challenged, no one understands you. But instead, if you walk up to him and say, a better clue, everyone understands you and you feel good, the receiver may not feel so good. So there are ways in which we need to tweak communication, ladies and gentlemen, so that it will, one, make impact. More than anything, influence the mind of the consumer, in this case, the receiver. And at the end of the day, are you able to ideate? What is that you can bring to the table that is innovative and a new idea? Because out there in the market and out there in business, we all know there are hundreds of people using the same thing. So ladies and gentlemen, it's not about what you say, it's always about how we are saying it. And that's where the creativity comes into play. And where does creativity come from? The right brain. How many of you are left-handers in this hall? How many of you are left-handers? All right, so we have 3 of us. Do you write with your left hand, sir? Other activities we can't talk about in this hall. All right, great. So you need to laugh, okay? If you don't, can I have the slide? I'll be running up and down, so don't get worried. Based on the need. And this is something I strongly believe in, that everyone talks about silence, everyone talks about the fact that people need to remain silent. Silence is the most powerful form of communication. Sit silently with yourself. But I think in the workspace, if someone is silent, someone is not frequently contributing, someone takes a back seat, someone prefers not to listen to a discussion that's going on, please keep a watch. It can be really deadly. And the reason I'm stating this is I will discuss offline because that does not come under the purview of my talk. This is about body language. In written communication, it's almost impossible to bring on the body. And that's the reason why people start using words. You have a very hyperreactive society. You have people who are hyper-connected. You have quick responses to everything even before the sentence is completed. People get butthurt over nothing. People start screaming and crying over trivial matters like cow and cow's urine. I would just say look at it. If you like it, feel good, and be nice to it. If you really don't like it, be nicer to it, because that's the challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to talk about a few challenges in communication, especially the written form, presuming that most of what you guys do will be the written form rather than the spoken form. And I'm here to quickly also tell you that we all come from different backgrounds, our perceptions are very different, our judgments are very different, we all come with a huge baggage of environment, social conditioning, and of course your own perceptions. Now you've seen me just for about 5 minutes. May I ask the young lady in the front, what do you think of me?
You come across as very strong and...
Strong? Alright, I'm looking for adjectives, alright? So that's strong. What about you, madam?
Dynamic.
Dynamic, good. What about you, ma'am?
Cool.
Cool. I thought I was hot. Right, so I'm joking. Go ahead, just shut up.
Irreverent and authentic.
Irreverent and authentic. You see the word authentic, my favorite word. I am what you see, and it's very difficult to live the life that I do. I'm not irreverent towards life, but I'm irreverent in my own ways of using vocabulary, because sometimes sharp vocabulary is the only way to go ahead. I want to speak about an issue like child abuse, like molestation, like the Me Too. I believe in today's generation, one man looks at the other and asks them, you too. And it's a kind of a reputation and a brand association. All of us have brains have associations. All of us come with baggage. A few of them said few things what they think about me, not necessarily right or wrong. It's just a perception. Ladies and gentlemen, quickly, I run a small firm called the Mind Workshop, where we teach people something called word jugglery. I'm called Dr. Tung Fu for the same reason, that one word means poison to one word means perfume to the other. Is it the same word? Yes. I'll give you a perfect example of a sentence. The brothel is on fire. The brothel is on fire. Many came out running and some ran out coming. Look at the context in which you are understanding it. Communication is all about intent and context. It's also about adding creative emotion to whatever you guys are going to share in the future. I believe that I stand apart because one, I'm original. Second, I do my best to be authentic. Very important, I like to be liked. So in spite of being strong, in spite of being open, in spite of being blunt, a lot of people love me and the others will wait. Many of us are awesome speakers, some of us are great listeners. The idea is to think from the receiver's side, which means that listening is a skill, which is a right brain talent. You need to develop it. Even before a person completes a sentence, we're in a hurry to respond. Because today, everyone answers only to reply and not to understand. So there is a huge disclaimer here that there are no rules in communication, and there is absolutely 100% exception in every sentence that I'm saying, based on the situation and the intent and the context. So that is how complicated the matter is. To make things easier, please take away from today's session the word called PIE. P-I-I-E. The first rule of what we decide and what the brain decides as to how do I communicate to the other, because it's always the other's point of view and not mine, plus the message that I want to convey, is do you want to just persuade a person? Do you want to make them buy your product? Do you want to inform them about a product? Do you want to inspire them about something which is a situation, which again leads you onto the product? And very, very important, do you just want to be light? Do you just want to make them feel good by reading something? Because it's called mind massaging. And believe me, it's a context which is very widely used amongst the young, the millennials, they love it. They have their own vocabulary and many of us will not be able to understand that. Yesterday when I was addressing a bunch of young students of media, I asked one of the young girls, what do you think of me, just like I asked you guys. She looked at me and said, you're a bad. And I said, I'm a bad. Expand it for me. She says, you're a boss-ass bitch. And I asked her, what does that mean? Because my neighbor and my assistant got offended. Because the word bitch is like something not really done. And I said, what's bad? He said, a boss-ass bitch is someone who knows what she wants, gets what she wants, and she enables other bitches get what they want. So I'm an enabler, according to her. But look at what she calls me, bad. And the moment I explain explained this to another 50-year-old like me, immediately she said, we're all Babs. And she took a great sense of pride and belonging. Please remember the word pi. I have very less time. The other thing to remember, whenever we are making a plan to influence another mind, this is extremely important. It's called the TFA axis. If what I think and what I feel is not in alignment, then what I do will definitely not be in alignment. If I'm in a bad mood and I hate somebody and I hate the product and I'm going to be talking about it, you're in what we call incongruent mode. What I think, what I feel, and what I do. And that's one of the reasons why communication, when you're not relying on body language, is extremely important to start relying on words. Emote the words. Look at the PI. What is that? The purpose of your maybe writing or speaking. It's extremely important. Persuade, inform, inspire, or entertain. These are the 4 broad categories in which we can work. What is the TFA? It's an axis. Just imagine, I have a boss. Polony. Right, it's called awareness. He thought I'm never going to come back with this here. So he just presumes a lot of things because previous people might have done it. So I'm not somebody who can stay behind the podium for long. I stayed there because somebody's taking a photograph. You need to be really aware because that's a PR exercise. And obviously when you're not aware, you tend to bungle up. You need to have something called 360-degree vision. And what I'm speaking of is in the language of linguistics and neurolinguistics. I am a brain surgeon, like I said. I work with an area which is 1,200 grams between your ears and the biggest trouble in all our lives. Think about it. All of you love your phones more than your brain. 256 MB, 2.5 petabytes, 2.5 million gigabytes. No one loves it enough. You sleep with your phones. How many of you sleep with your phones? Believe me, there are better things to sleep with. I never said it, you're imagining it. I meant a cushion. I meant a pillow. Nothing else. But you guys are like, oh! So it just means that, look at that. One word can stimulate the brain to think in so many ways. If you like someone, ladies and gentlemen, it's because they said something which associates with your brain. And if you dislike someone, it's only because they said or did something which dissociates from your brain. What is that? Thought, feeling, and action. She's my boss. She troubles me day in and day out. I look at her every day and I say, good morning, you're looking so beautiful. But what am I thinking? Andar say, kab maregi sali. So what is that? Complete incongruent thinking. And incongruent thinkers cannot make any impact nor influence anybody. Alright? Now, I don't know how many of you must be thinking, sali buddhi kab maregi. Now this is very simple. Most of you have heard of the disc funda. But I just want you to keep this word disc in your mind. Because again, when you're receiving and when you're giving, it's a transaction between a sender and a receiver. And there is a media. So you need to really start bearing in mind, what kind of a receiver am I dealing with? And you also got to bear in mind, what kind of a mind am I? This can change. And this is not a fixed concrete persona. When you can have different frames, and these are different frames. It's called the disc frame. And I will deal with this later on, just don't focus too much on it. But keep in mind PIIE, and keep in mind the word disc. Are you the dominance kind, the influence, the steadiness, the conscientious? Because the choice of words are different for these mindsets. A person who's dominant will talk about strength, power, control. So it's very important that you pitch your words in the same manner. A person who's conscientious will talk about society, goodness, value, empathy, empowerment. So you need to keep that in mind when you're presenting something or writing something down. Now, why am I here? Because the spoken versus written is a very complicated thing. Spoken is much easier. Written is a lot tougher. Because a lot of the Indians, we really don't know our grammar. Sorry to say. We study in English, we talk in English, we sleep in English. Yesterday, a lady came up to me and said, Dr. Ushy, you're very intelligent, but you're also very sarcastic. She meant sarcastic. So sometimes the sounds influence different portions of the brain. If I give you the sentence, Uncle Jack is an old man coming to meet me after many years on a horseback. Help Uncle Jack, once he reaches my home, help Uncle Jack off the horse. That's the sentence. But if you stop at the wrong place, help Uncle Jack off the horse. And you split it even further, the entire meaning changes. Be careful. I went to give a lecture to a college on change, and somebody said, Dr. Ushy is expecting. And they stopped. And everyone was like, oh my God. And then he said, yeah, change, she's expecting change. But you know what? He emphasized on expecting his thought there. So it's extremely important to make the difference when you write. Why? Because when you write, there's more room for misinterpretation, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have emotion in written words. And it's extremely, one of the most important critical factors, body taken away, emotion taken away. So what are you left with? There you go. Okay? This is how I would call it a challenge. When you break down communication into different aspects of communication, the first thing that can go wrong is faulty communication. I said something, it was understood as something else. I don't much care, I can undo it. Very important, the last one, non-comprehension. I didn't understand at all whatever the person was saying. Forgivable, we can do it, undo it, so many things. But the middle one is damn critical. The entire context is misunderstood. And once it's misunderstood, the whole circle of understanding has to be undone. And to do that, what are you doing? Investing your time. And guess what good communication does? Saves time, invests in time. You're sharp, specific, clear, pointed. Your meetings are short, concise, sharp, pointed, and not long, dragging, repetitive meetings. A lot of people listen to people and wish the speaker was dead or they were dead. We know in our meetings what happens. We don't have the courage to say it out. We know when we read some things, we wish the author was dead. I'm not mentioning him, but he makes a hell of a lot of money. Now, I'm just showing you this because as a doctor, communication is very critical. I will share the PPTs obviously with Anubhuti, so she can share it with you. There are many case studies. I'm not here for that. But let me tell you, this one cost the patient his life. Because of miscommunication. Because of the fact that the written report completely contradicted the line of treatment, starting from the general practitioner, to the registrar, to the nurse, to the specialist and consultant. Can you imagine? A 40, 50-year-old gentleman had to lose his life because of what? Miscommunication. And that to what? Written miscommunication. We doctors write a lot of case histories. And when you write the wrong things, God forbid, I know what can come in as a result. Right? So why am I here? We live in a world where our missiles are guided and men are misguided. Today, every human wants to be a brand, and every brand wishes to be human. If you know what I'm talking about. How can a brand become human? With the choice of words. I will quote only 3 examples in the interest of time. If you want to show creativity and emotion in a campaign, look at one ice bucket challenge. 2.8 million was raised for ALS. Lou Gehrig was an unknown entity until then. Guess what? It was a simple challenge. It was very specific. It's extremely creative. It's very doable. And at the end of the day, it's critical. And that's how the people who were there, starting from a Bill Gates to a Zuckerberg or anybody, they took on the challenge and contributed. 2.8 million is not a joke. More than that, the awareness about ALS is definitely not a joke. The other campaign that all of us can keep in mind is the Maggie Comeback. It's beautiful. Look at the hashtags. Look at every single thing that they used as a word. It's playing on the listener's emotion. And I believe that that's one of the best examples of a tragic PR exercise which was averted. Already they were down and out. But they were not out because the choice of words actually did and undid a lot of damage which had already been done to something which was not right. They set it right, but it's not enough to set it right because the human mind has a tendency to go to something which is inconvenient, which is negative, and this is what happens. So the other and the last one is Share a Coke. Everyone knows Share a Coke? I think it's an old one, 2014-15. And why was that such a hit? Because it showed the social connection between people. It also plays on something called sharing. The human mind is a sucker for emotion. If you don't bring in a pain point, you can't sell. If you're always bringing in pleasure points, they don't connect as much as pain points. There's an exception, Miss Sunny Leone. And that is completely a different phenomenon altogether. Let's not talk about it. If I pull up any one of your young men's telephone, I know how much of your hard disk space you've allotted. What's the fastest animal in the world? Anybody? Yeah? Anybody? It's a cheetah? Right. So they say the fastest animal in the world has changed now. It's a husband who's having a shower. He's unlocked his phone. The phone starts ringing and the wife goes towards the phone. The speed at which he runs from the shower to his phone is faster than a cheetah. So think about this entire science and the funda that's coming behind that. You need to really start thinking about it, because any communication that you do must be seamless. For me, it should be seamless. And we've observed that in many success stories, starting from the young to the old, in any campaign that might be, it's always been seamless. Can you imagine 20 videos are uploaded every minute on YouTube? 120,000 blogs a day. The future is going to get clogged. And it's called information clogging. The huge clutter that is there around us, it's important to be specific, simple, and sharply worded. And that is going to be the future. 2 words, 3 words, 5 words, not 5 paragraphs and 5 pages. People have this habit of writing Ramayans. And I'm not saying this word, because if I say a little more than this, you know where I'll be. Now look at this here. People don't plan critical conversations. As a doctor, when I break news of bad health, death, inevitable mortality, it's all something I plan in my brain. I'm not going to go up there and say, excuse me, you'll die tomorrow. And that's being insensitive. I think all great communicators, they are sensitive. And they understand that the value of what I'm going to share is much more important than the content. All right? And that's the reason why they connect using words. They converse using words. So it's called connection first, conversations next. Even more important, the future is about collaboration. So you'll have to collaborate. Once you finish collaborating, only then you will have connections and executions. In the world from which you come, I presume that a lot of it is connecting and collaborating. I presume that a lot of people speak through all of you. And I believe that it's extremely important that you decide how to speak. If you don't realize how to speak, we'll end up all doing what we do best here, all right? I will just show you something I have here. Now this is a perfect one. Some of you might have seen it. Give me volume, please. Misinterpretation takes 9 nanoseconds. And just check what happens here. So the body is really, really powerful. But unfortunately, in written communication, we cannot show much of the body. Now, when correct instructions are not given to the sender and the receiver, this is what can go terribly wrong. Everyone presumes and everyone reacts instead of responding. And see the hand raised there, instructions given, everyone ready? And this is what happens to people, they run helter-skelter. And the same thing happens with words. If you don't use the right words, then people start running in all directions and thoughts start running in all directions. They're not divergent, no, they're completely divergent thoughts. We need to converge thinking lines if you really want to make an impact. And to converge thinking lines, it takes a lot. I believe in the science of communication. The tones in which we add makes a big, big difference. Volume, Cody. The same word in different tones. See how it influences the right brain.
Nane Bhagyavati Indu Nane Punyavati.
Look at the kid's face.
Oh, illai. Nane Bhagyavati Indu Nane Punyavati.
So it's the tonality. And words have tonality. One must learn it. How do you do that? Time is too less. I wish I could. So I'm talking about the tone of your words. It's not just what the word is. It's the tone in which, how do you add tone to word? Imagine when I'm in pain. It's ah. Otherwise, ah. The exclamation does the job. The double exclamation does the job. A comma, a period does the job. And there's so many tools that we can talk about, which is never ending. But I want you to remember that there is one important thing you can all just look at. I think I'll summate it by you seeing this. It's something I
have
produce
the ability
myself.
to hold
Yeah.
audiences in the palm of their hands, while for the others, public speaking is a painful
Speaking is
experience
different, writing
for
is the
them
same,
and their
but you
listeners.
add word and
Effective
emotion.
speaking
Why am I here
is
to tell
critical
you?
to success both at the personal and the professional
Craft,
level.
creative,
Tools one
constructive
can use.
words.
In my experience, I rate
It's very
humor
difficult.
as being
You need
one
to
of the
know
most
language.
powerful
Very
tools
important
that
to know the
can be
tone
put
of the
to good
language
use.
that you're using.
Humor
In
brings
India,
life
it's
into
difficult.
speaking.
Every word means different things to
Information
different
delivered
people.
in a light
In the English
and
language, every
entertaining
word has
form
almost
is
20
always
meanings.
remembered long
And some words have more than
and
180
suitably
meanings for
material.
just one word.
Humor must be relevant.
Alright?
It
So
must be
the
fitting.
point I'm trying to
It
drive
must
home is
also be
it must be
appropriate
fitting.
to the
It must be
topic.
appropriate.
It must
And like
be
I said, are you
tension.
persuading?
And once
Are you
tension is
informing?
removed,
Are you inspiring?
speaking
And at the end of the
creates
day, are
rapport
you just
on a relevant
entertaining?
topic.
Because
Creates
entertaining is
an
very light and
atmosphere
very
where
easy and
there's readiness to
unreal.
share.
Right?
Humor puts the speaker and audiences
For me, humor
at
is a
ease.
tool. I think
Humor
everyone
often
here
makes
will understand that
people
it's good to have a
more
nice laugh.
approachable.
It's also nice not to talk very heavy things when people start crying. It's very easy to make people cry. Ask the married people in this room that.
Better.
It's very difficult to make people laugh. Can you see how resistant you are to laughter? You must actually break into laughter. It does you a world of good. And for that, you don't just need stand-up comedy. You can also just sit down and keep laughing.
Humor.
Right? Without anyone saying anything to you. Why?
And
Now,
in the right places.
yeah. So I will share these videos with you. I just want to quickly just summate because that's the reason why I came here. There you go. I'm not technologically savvy, but there you go. So how do you measure success in terms of words and writing? There you go. Are you connecting? If you're not, you're done industrial. The next and very important, are you conversing? People love conversations than coming and elocuting something. You know, Tarun may be great to listen to, but how the hell understands him? Very few of us. He has great diction, awesome knowledge, is great when it comes to delivery, and please don't show him this video, he's related to me. And he'd be upset. The MC was so confused yesterday at a function when I was talking with him that instead of saying Dr. Ushy, Dr. Shashi, Dr. Ushy, Dr. Shashi, he got so confused he introduced me as Dr. Ushy Tarun. The rest is history, the media has been chasing me ever since. So I'm just trying to tell you that this is on a lighter note, but it can be very, very critical. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that communication is the only thing in the future that is going to make a big difference, not only to business, but importantly to life. Isn't everyone happy when you do good business? Yes. Why does somebody need PR? Because you like to become a brand. Like I said, many people want to be a brand. But many brands want to be human. You like to sell. You like to do something called ethical selling. It's big words. I'm not here to talk about big things. But please remember, I'm here to tell you to please think about the right brain. Do some exercises every day so your right brain is really active. The most important one is please stretch your lip. You refuse to do it. Some of you are like, stretch your lip? Harder. It's called resistance. The human brain is highly resistant. And the more easy it is for you to just flex your lip, flex your orbicularis oris, that's the first step. The second one, please use 2 minutes a day to scribble with your left hand on a small piece of paper. How difficult is that? Whenever you use your left physical body, the right brain gets active. And there you will open up a huge range of vocabulary which will help you finally to create, craft, constructively critical content. So I believe that it's a C2C effect. When you're confused, it results in clarity. When the client is completely under some form of incompetence, you teach them capabilities. At the end of the day, when you're criticized and when people don't like you for what you said, you will bring on some form of celebration because you are clearing gaps. Words clear gaps. Learn which bridges to burn and which bridges to build. Honest and straight is all right. Time is very critical. If you don't use time efficiently, you're wasting your time, you're wasting the client's time. What are you wasting? Both your lives. I believe I'm open to questions. I'm done with the sharing here. Add emotion to your content. Very important. Add creativity to your content. Add right brain to your content. Because everything that is really desirable, including Miss Leonie, she operates only on the right brain content. The right brain has a very serious sense of what we call satisfaction. And unless somebody is satisfied, unless someone is accepting, unless someone associates, they will not ever buy a single word of what anyone has to say to them. I'm here to just share this in 25 minutes. If you have questions, you should please write it to me and give it to me. I'm here till the end of the session. I have a website, I conduct sessions on meditation, feel free to come by. I'm not selling this because it is expensive. I'm not a sad guru. I'm somebody who does work for a living and we create music. I'm not a free. I didn't say it, but I'm sure you understand who I am. I'm not a stree either. I'm just a me who's talking to me, through me, helping all me understand what I talk to me. So if you notice, there are people who claim they are Godmen. They can find God for you, but they can't find a hidden camera in the room, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the reality of what it is, and I believe that if you understood a few words and like what I shared, please give me a good round of applause because I will not step down until I hear that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One last question. How many of you love me? Please raise your hands. Yeah? How many of you love me? Please raise your hands. I'd like to see it. Alright. How many of you love me? Please raise your hands. This is the last time. Alright? Right. And for those of you who don't, please raise your standards. It's very important. Right? Yeah, so it's resistance. And resistance is not a great communication. It's not a great communication. Any questions? Otherwise, thank you so much. Amit, where are you? Thank you so much. To this entire organization, Reputation, Anubhuti, Amit, who has been communicating with me. Amit, I told him I'm not from the business. I'm somebody who does, work at a level of illness and wellness. So I believe that every human is the same. You love to be loved, you love to be accepted. And it's as simple as that. No questions? Is that a yes or is that a no? Is that a yes or is that a no? Can you imagine if I'm looking at you in Buddha mode throughout? So as a human, I think entitlement is at least a response. We need it. So if you have questions, do ask me. Otherwise, I'm available. All right? Thank you so much.